Hello and welcome Conquerpreneurs to our session today during our open house of the Conquer Network. The Conquer Network is a safe space for service-based entrepreneurs who want to build mental wealth and business. We talk a lot about how to overcome business anxiety, how to beat business burnout. And many of the members of the Conquer Network are like myself. We're moms and entrepreneurs. And I don't know about you, but sometimes there are moments when you might be feeling like this is so overwhelming. It is so exhausting that you wonder, can I even do it? Like sometimes women will tell me they were considering not even doing the business at all or considering quitting the business because they just feel so exhausted. And it can really affect our mental health as entrepreneurs, as moms, and as women. So I have with us today Sherida Gayle, who is a marriage and family therapist. She is a speaker. She's an expert on all things children from the years of 1 to 5, because those are very important years in their lives. And as an entrepreneur that's a mom to children in that age range, you really need to have this emotional support. So welcome, Sherida, to the Conquer Network Open House.
Thank you. I am definitely excited to be here. As Seneca mentioned, I am a mom. I'm a mompreneur. I am a wife. I play many, many different roles. So we are going to get started. So
All
today,
right.
guys, I have, yeah, we're just going to get right into it because as mompreneurs, it's on to the next one. We are going to be presenting a presentation. I am going to give you a few tips within the time that we have allotted. All right. All right, let me know if you are able to see the screen. You're good?
Yes, we see it.
Okay. All right, so today we'll be discussing mental wellness for mompreneurs, conquering your mommy guilt. So a little bit about me, like I mentioned, there are different identities that I have. I'm a wife, I'm a mother of 4, ranging from 5 years old to 17 years old. Daughter, sister, friend, advocate for mental health, and my greatest joy as well is being a mompreneur. I'm the owner of First 5 and Beyond, which Seneca mentioned. So during the first 5 years, those are the most critical years for our emotional development. And I am also the founder of Empowerment Counseling and Psychotherapy Services. All right, mom guilt. Let's get to the nitty gritty. Do you suffer from working mom guilt? If you do, please put a 1 in the chat box. All right. So if you're a mompreneur and you've experienced this mom guilt, as you can see, you are definitely not alone. You will not be the first and you will not be the last. Working mom guilt can sometimes alter our thoughts. Now, there is a cognitive triangle where in therapy, we have clients draw a triangle. On one side of the tip of the triangle, we have thoughts. On the top, we have feelings. And then at the other tip, we may have behaviors. So whatever thoughts we have surrounding around our experiences, then there's a feeling that's attached to that. Whatever feeling or emotion we are experiencing at that time, we have behaviors that follow. Guilt is that combination of these feelings that cause sometimes that confusion. We have feelings of not measuring up. We may have different experience feelings based on our culture, our ethnicity, our nationality, and subcultures and so forth. All right. In order to fully understand mom guilt, we have to talk about those feelings and emotions. We have to figure out what is the difference between what I'm feeling, what is the difference between, my conscious feelings versus my subconscious feelings. Guilt is a self-conscious emotion. Some other self-conscious emotions are shame, embarrassment. Guilt is also what we call a secondary emotion or a second emotion. It's very common to feel some type of guilt based on what our first emotion is, which would be our primary. So we have our primary emotions, then we have our secondary emotions. Guilt is also connected to our morals, our ethics, or whatever standards that we have. So I'd like to go a little bit further into feelings. If you feel some type of internal state, I want you to be able to label it. Label, 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 label. I feel. I am experiencing. What are you experiencing? There are times where sometimes in business, I'm so burnt out and someone will say to me, well, Sherida, how are you feeling? And I'll say, good. Am I really feeling good? Good is not a feeling. So I try to label my feelings and I try to encourage others to label their feelings. Emotions also have two ways that we react to emotions. We react to it with an opportunity or a threat. So say, for instance, if I fear something, fear for me is a threat. Or if I'm feeling joy, I know joy is an opportunity. Feelings are conscious emotions. And when we have these conscious emotions, we have to think about what our primary feelings are. So a few primary feelings are happy, sad, feeling anger, some type of fear. And then when we go to those secondary emotions, we're reacting to whatever primary emotion there is. So I'm not sure if anyone can come off mute, but if you are feeling some type of, let's say, let's use a secondary emotion of maybe being disappointed or something like that. What would be a common primary emotion?
Well, right now I am feeling guilt because I left my daughter at her tennis lesson this morning and I told her that I'll be working. And my fear is that she's going to think that my work comes before her or it's more important.
Definitely, which is something that we often feel. And I also like to look at emotions with the emotion iceberg. So what do we see above that iceberg and what is underneath that iceberg, right? So what Seneca just described are some things that are underneath that iceberg, like what she may be thinking, which brings us back to, again, our thoughts and what is attached to our thoughts, right? Our feelings and emotions, and then what behavior comes after that. Right. With the 4 ways, so I'm gonna give you guys 4 ways to overcome mom guilt. The first one is reserve judgment, right? Don't be too hard on yourself, reserve that judgment. Second is reframe any type of negative self-talk you have. You will definitely make mistakes in life. You'll make mistakes in business. Mistakes come, they teach us how to do better. Number 3, what is this guilt feeling telling me? How do you identify what is causing you to feel guilty? So previously I spoke about the difference between emotions, feelings, being able to see if a feeling is a threat or an opportunity, being able to know what our primary emotions are, what our secondary emotions are. Number 4 is setting reminders. Definitely time to get organized if you're feeling some type of mommy guilt. Knowing how to create a balance between work and home. All right. So the first one, reserving self-judgment. All right. So let's get into first, what makes a good mother? If anyone would like to share in the comment box, or if you would like to come off mute, what makes a good mother?
Anyone can unmute themselves or you can type in the comments, whichever is easier. So Kiana says supportive and understanding and patience with an exclamation mark.
Yes, definitely. Patience, yes. Anyone else?
I don't really have a standard anymore of like, because I work through this a lot with my community, like of what a good mom is,
Yes.
because I used to feel like if I wasn't doing the things that my mom and my aunties did, that it made me not a good mother. But after working through a lot of it, I had to realize that like, I'm still a good mom. I'm not a mom like they were. I'm just a different mom. And it's still, my kids still think that I'm a good mom.
Thank you so much, ladies, for sharing. And thank you, Jamie, because our kids do consider us good moms, right? So we have this idea of what a good mother should be. Good mothers are a nurturing parent who are responsible for a child's well-being and for their safety. Good mothers, we're not perfect, but we're good enough, right? So a lot of these self-judgments, they come from whatever thoughts we have. They come from the rules, the expectations we have of what good mothers are, right? When I watch the Cosby Show, I'm like, yep, that's me. I'm Claire Huxtable. I'm a good mom just like her. I could juggle all those kids. Didn't want to be a lawyer, but I'm like, I could do this, right? We try to, look at others. Sometimes we judge ourselves based on what others are doing. So I know a lot of times people look at me and they're like, Sherida, how do you juggle 4 kids? How do you juggle, these businesses? How do you juggle this? And these 4 things that I'm listing for you guys, which of course there are more, but these 4 things are what really help me with managing and balancing my life. I think about my current circumstance. I think about my family's current needs. Your family's circumstances may be totally different from mine. My family's needs may be totally different from yours. And by that, I mean the types of food that my family eats, right? There are times where I may have to get fast food for my children. There are times where I have to get a certain meal for my children based on my family's need or my cultural needs. We critique ourselves before someone else does. And that sometimes helps us because it's kind of like a defense mechanism, like I'll critique myself before you do. Does anyone have any questions so far?
So I'll go ahead and read the comments here. Jamie says, definitely culture. So yes, culture can have a lot to do with it. And then I replied to Jamie, yes, Jamie, and some other moms are judging. And Jamie says, some are totally judging.
Judgy. Let me tell you, these judgments, why did she pack her child that? Why do they judge us on a lot of things. And again, our circumstances are different. And some people have a narrative of what it should be. How my mom was, 60, 70, my mom's in her 70s, all those years ago is not what we are doing now, right? So circumstances change, people change. Gas is no longer what, like $1? Like gas has gone up. Different things change around us and we have to evolve with that. So
okay, Jamie has her hand raised.
Oh, go ahead, Jamie.
I totally agree. It's so funny recently, maybe a couple weeks ago, I had to have a conversation with my own mom, which was very difficult because my 22-year-old son was sick. He wasn't feeling well. And he didn't get up to say, oh, Mom, I'm not feeling well, I'm sick. And I had to say to my family, like, listen, they were like, oh, if I were you, I'd do this. No, if I were you, I'd do that. And I'm like, yeah, but he's a grown up and he's not a little baby. And I raised him to get up and say, I'm ill and this is what I need.
Yeah.
I don't want to, I've never been the parent that's like, especially with him as he got older, like, I'm gonna go and coddle and feel and see, oh, let me touch your head and see if you have a fever. Like, I want him to be an independent man. He's not gonna be under my roof all the time. And so when I wasn't doing it the way that they thought it should be done, it was definitely a lot of judgment. And having a conversation with your own parent about, not feeling adequate, was hard, but it was a conversation I literally just had to have maybe 2 weeks ago. Like, Mom, what I'm doing doesn't look like what you're doing, but I have a son and I'm not raising him to depend on a woman or someone else to come and see if he's okay. He has to get up and say, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
And so after a little while, I guess she thought about it, respected it, and said, I said, you make me feel like I'm not a good mom when you do stuff like that. And she thought about it and apologized, but having a conversation like that with your parent is really hard because you feel like a kid again, talking to your own parent, like a little child. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing, Jamie, because we as mompreneurs, we don't only receive judgment from the outside world, but from our immediate family, right? Sometimes from our cousins, from, mothers and so forth. People are going to judge us regardless, but it still doesn't feel good. So whether you work, they're going to judge you. Whether you don't work, they're going to judge you. Whether you are coddling him, I think that's the word that you use, whether you're coddling him or whether you don't, there's always, you darn if you do, darn if you don't. And that brings us back to what is a good enough mother, right? You're attuned to his needs. You've taught him to not enable him, but you said it. I want for when he gets older, he's able to take care of himself, right? You're trying to give him that autonomy, but also have him speak up when something is wrong. So definitely thank you for sharing that. All right, so we are up to number 2, reframe your negative self-talk. So there are times in the past that I've had an issue with that negative self-talk. I definitely know as a therapist that our inner dialogue matters, but I'm a realist, and there are times where sometimes I'm like, these words of affirmation, they're not really cutting it. They're not really helping. So the first thing that I always do, and I always encourage people, is to take a deep breath, because that negative self-talk, whatever emotions you're experiencing at the time, it can stress you out. And baby, when that cortisol level goes up, what does it do to your body, right? What does it do to your thoughts? After taking that deep breath, try to think of just focusing on your progress, right? As a Virgo, I sometimes want that perfection. I want it to be perfect. I wanted this presentation to be perfect. I can't tell you how many words I spelled incorrectly in this presentation. I sent it to my husband. I'm like, check it over, like, help me out here, right? But I had so much progress because I knew what I wanted to talk about. I knew what I wanted to share with you guys. Reframing. When you notice that negative self-talk coming up, stop yourself. Try to restate it in a positive language, right? So how can we reframe? What is something that, if anyone would like to share, that they've said to themselves negatively lately? And as a group, we'll try to help you reframe it. If you'd like to share.
Okay, you can come off of mute if you want to, or if you can't, you can type it in the chat. Just going to read some of the comments here. This presentation is great. So you're doing great.
Thank you.
Jamie said these affirmations ain't cutting it today.
Look, baby, look.
And then I wrote, right, sometimes the affirmations aren't hitting.
Yes. And with those affirmations, so we have these beautiful affirmations, which I have there, but do we truly believe it at the time we're experiencing whatever emotion? And a lot of times it's sometimes those strong emotions that I'm not trying to hear. I'm a work in progress, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do I feel that way sometimes? Yeah, but I may not be feeling it right now. And that's where I wanted to introduce to you guys that interrogative self-talk. This is how we first identify, and then we try to explore whatever negative thoughts we have. So interrogative self-talk would be just asking yourself a question, right? It's a way of problem solving. So within the Conquer Network, they've made me accountable for a lot of stuff. And one of those things is posting on social media. So sometimes I ask myself, can I handle writing social media content right now? Right? And then whatever I answer it, then I go a little bit deeper. No, I'm not ready. Will I be ready tomorrow? Yes, based on your schedule, you'll be ready tomorrow. So sometimes you have to talk to yourself like in third person. Sherida, can you tackle the day, right? Another thing is, what if, and then you insert the worst case scenario. What if that happens? Am I able to handle it? Right? Because as mompreneurs, we have that daily hustle of making sure the kids are okay, making sure the home is okay, making sure our business is okay. If something happens, can I handle it? And if I can't handle it, how did I handle it in the past? What worked and what didn't work, right? How might I approach this? Am I approaching this with my confident self? So I hope I gave you guys a few examples in reference to interrogative self-talk. Any comments? Anyone like to share anything before I move to the other slide?
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and, just respond to what you were saying about accountability. So yeah, accountability is great, but we definitely have to do what we can and manage our energy. So sometimes people feel like there are rules that we have to follow, but there are no rules. It's what works best for you, to go forward. So then Kiana says, yes, at reframing the thought and asking your questions to asking yourself the questions to dig deper. And then she says, thanks for using that social media example because it's spot on for me.
No problem. And that's why we're here, ladies. This is exactly why we're here, because sometimes we're experiencing similar things and we see people posting and we're kind of like, hey, that person has it together. What I love about this network is there's no judgment here. You learn a lot and you move at your own pace. There are times where I log in every other day, and there are times I may log in once a week just to see, okay, what's new in the network? What is someone else doing in the network? And so forth. So thank you for sharing that.
Okay. And then Jamie says, negative for me is I'll never get control of this schedule. I relate.
Yeah.
She says also work all day, church stuff in the evenings, then homework and business stuff gets squeezed in, and I haven't learned to manage that yet.
Yeah, it definitely does. Yeah. And in reference to that, Jamie, sometimes we just have to pause, but also with that pause to give compassion and love to our bodies, because we're doing everything, like we're going through the motions, right? We have to like really reflect back and say, you know what? Let me be in the here and now and breathe, because those things are always going to be there. All right, so we're back to the feelings. I love feelings. If you guys haven't noticed, I like feelings and emotions.
That's what we're here for. We're here to talk about the feelings and the
Hey,
emotions.
I'm all gooey, like
We're all about the feelings and the
I'm
emotions.
all about the feelings. What is this guilt feeling telling me, right? Your guilt may not be that simple. So sometimes we're like, oh, I feel guilty. Oh, I feel guilty. It's kind of like what I mentioned earlier when sometimes people ask me, like, how are you feeling? And I'll be like, good. I'm really not feeling good. I just sometimes don't want to share, or I don't know exactly what I'm feeling at that time, right? Sometimes I'll say to my daughter, like, how are you feeling? She's like, indifferent. I'm like, what? I didn't learn that in school. What's that? All right. So, mom guilt, we know it comes in different forms. Earlier, I shared a few of some of the emotions. So, anger, sadness, shame, worry. Mom guilt can come from stress. We mentioned earlier, it comes from comparison to others, that negative criticism from family. And I know, Jamie, you mentioned, you gave your example, or the type of parent you want to be, right? Mom guilt often stems from that focuses on behaviors. So we again have our thoughts, then our thoughts go to our feelings, the feeling attached to whatever the thought is, then we have that behavior. I'm not spending enough time at home. Now let's think of that one. I'm not spending enough time at home, or maybe I'm not spending enough time with my children. If anyone would like to come off mute or put it in the chat box, what do you think comes after that thought? What feeling would you feel, or have you felt?
I felt that with regards to trying to find me time to refuel. So I felt guilty, like earlier, like, oh, I'm going out to this social thing or going for a walk, the spa, and feel like I should be home. And I don't enjoy the experience at all. And then I feel kind of resentful.
So with I'm not spending enough time at home. So we know that's the thought. So what would be the feeling you said would be resentful?
Yeah, just this feeling of guilt, of shame, like I should be doing more.
And then what happens after that? What is your behavior? Like, is your behavior that, and a behavior I want to describe to you guys, a behavior is anything that you can like tally and take data of. A behavior is if you don't go for the walk, or you do go for the walk.
Yeah, the behavior for me would be that I would miss out on a lot of events, even if I prepaid for them, and then sit at home not happy still because I didn't go do what I wanted.
So I'm glad that you gave that example, because it's sometimes a cycle, right? So the more we do something, the more we may not do it, and so forth. So with that feeling of resent, you miss out on events, which it comes full circle again, and that would be your self-care piece, right?
Yes, correct.
So we have to be able to come out of that cycle, and again, either reframe or just take away that judgment. What is beneficial? And I know I've been looking at your lives. I've joined your Facebook group last night. I am trying to get on that fitness. What are the benefits of going on that walk?
I mean, the benefits are multiple. One, it's the physical movement. The second is the stress reduction. And then I feel refreshed when I actually do come back to the family.
And again, what prevents you from doing that? The what?
Oh, if he starts crying, like I'm holding him right now. I apologize. That's why I'm here so late.
No, it's okay. Look, we're mommies.
See, and it's back to the guilt, right? Apologizing. So
no, we're mommies here. Safe place.
Yeah. So part of it of not going is like, oh, he's crying, or I see that my spouse is tired from childcare because he puts in 110% himself. So I'm like, okay, he needs a break. And then, or I'm exhausted because this little one decided to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Mhm.
So then that leads me to like, oh, I think I'll just skip, I'll sleep instead.
Yeah.
So many, many reasons can lead to not following through
So
on.
sleep is good. Sleep is wonderful. So I know you are a doctor, and in reference to, let's say, like oxytocin, right? And I don't know anything about the endocrine system or any of those systems, but correct me if I'm wrong. When we go on walks, it lets off a nice, hormone for our bodies and so forth, right?
Absolutely.
And I know when the baby cries, sometimes it sets off that stress response. But when he's not crying and you're holding him, and there's a lot of oxytocin going on. And I also saw you're a nursing mom as well, right?
Correct.
And guys, I know all of this because she's in the network and we connect, right? You eventually do go on those walks, right? So
Yes.
the progress is there. It's not perfection, but the progress is there. So again, we kind of have to reframe those thoughts. I wasn't able to walk today, but I was able to walk yesterday. So just little tiny ways of reframing those things, because he is younger. I have 4 children myself, so I definitely know what you're going through. I used to be a stay-at-home mom. Now I'm a mompreneur and so forth. So I know that at this age that he needs a little bit more, of you being attuned to his needs, because he can't go to the fridge and get what he wants. And then, like you said, with your husband, he's there all the time. So giving him that break as well. So baby steps, and a lot of love to you and your family and everyone else.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the excessive feelings of mom guilt can sometimes cause depression or anxiety. If you feel these symptoms, I definitely feel that you should look at your network, look at your support system. Is your support system a really good, strong support system? Are you able to share what you're going through, right? Are you able to share without judgment? Because I know in the past I've shared, gosh, I have so many clients, this is going on. And I remember someone saying to me, well, why did you have so many kids? Needless to say, I never shared with that person again because I wasn't looking for any type of judgment. I honestly was not looking for her to give me any type of answers to the client load that I had. I really just wanted a safe space and for someone to validate my feelings. If you've ever felt that way, put a 1 in the comment box. Seneca, please let me know if anyone answered, if you've ever felt something similar.
So first of all, people like, what?
Oh, they are. Look, let me tell you guys. So I can't see your face. I have just whoever is talking. So you can see me, but I can't see you. So
yeah. So yeah. Jamie came on the camera. Look at her face.
okay, Jamie, I gotta watch the recording. I can't see you.
But yeah, we're kind of like, what? We can't believe they said that. But yes, there are lots of ones in the chat. Absolutely. Okay. And you know what? People get it both ways. Like you have, 4 kids, right?
Yes.
So you get that. You know what I get is you only have 1.
Thank you. I did. Yes. I do want to mention that yes, but you only have 1. I mean, judgment all around. And again, everybody's circumstances are different, right? Everybody's home life is different. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, can I say something? I was gonna say yes, between that and so like Seneca only has 1, you have 4, and they make a thing of that. And for me, it's like, but your kids are older, and you have a husband.
Yeah. Yeah.
What that mean?
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else would like to share? I love these because I've gotten all of them when I did have 1 child.
I mean, it's tough because it feels like you can't win from one certain perspective. Let me say it that way. Because it's like like you said, you go talk to someone for a safe safe space and just to be heard. And they come up with some crazy things, and sometimes it be your own, blood relatives.
Yes, yes, sometimes it is. And I've learned to not be so hard on myself and to understand that not everyone is coming from the type of skills or my life experiences that I've had. Sometimes people just don't know what to say. And again, it goes back to when that person said that to me, my initial thought was, what a backside, like, I guess maybe Jamie, you probably have the same face I have right now. I can't see, and then my feelings were, I wasn't angry. I was very sad because the expectation for me was, okay, this is a safe space. And then my behavior was what? Okay, I'm not going to say anything else. I basically not necessarily shut down, but it was like, all right, point taken, thanks. Have I spoken to that person again? Yes. Have I talked about my business and the things that I'm going through? No. When that person says, how are you doing? I said, my best. I'm doing my best. And I try not to be reactive. We also have to think about that too. When people say certain things to us, sometimes they want a reaction, right? They want some type of reaction. So what I do is I respond in ways that are helpful for me and that are helpful for the situation.
All right, Sherida, Kiana had her hand raised.
Okay.
Kiana, you can come off of mute.
Yeah, I was trying to, but I have a 7-year-old that's jumping off the wall. So just to piggyback off of that whole, you only have one, you only have one child thing. For the mompreneurs that only have one and, possibly may want to extend their family in the future, do they feel any anxiety around that? Like, okay, now I have, it's already enough for me struggling with my one, trying to get my business off the float, but I do want more kids in the future. Mm-hmm. Is that even a thing to think about? Am I overstepping, No,
it definitely is a thing. And let me tell you.
Yes, it's a thing.
It's a thing. Kiana, I work with mommies. I work with pregnant mommies. I work with mommies that are trying. And what do you want for your family, right? So we have whatever culture we have, and then within our family unit, our family dynamics, we have those subcultures. What do you want for your family? So it sounds like you want to have more children. Kiana, you there?
Yes, but I also want stability, and I don't want to be overwhelmed because this is a good week for me, but last week was overwhelming and really a lot. So I know it's going to be ups and downs. So it's that fear of, okay, if I want to expand my, my personal life, but my business is growing, am I going to need medicine?
Yes. Well, I'm not a psychiatrist. Just a disclaimer. Disclaimer. This is not therapy, but Kiana, thank you for sharing. But yeah, sometimes we do feel that way, right? It's so overwhelming that you're like, do I need to take medication? I would definitely agree. Deep breathing first, drinking some water. But whatever your circumstances are, you are going to have to try to find a balance, right? So for me, when I had my second child, I knew that I was a nursing mom. And I knew that being a nursing mom, it takes up so much of my time. It takes up my energy. But for me, I'm passionate about breastfeeding, right? This is just an example. And again, I don't knock anyone that doesn't breastfeed, because at the end of the day, the baby is fed, right? When I had that second child, and I currently had my first 5 and beyond business, I wasn't seeing clients as much, but I was still fulfilled because I had the business. I still had to kind of balance out. And then being attuned to whatever my child's needs were at the time. And remember, when you have different children, if anyone here has multiple children, Let me know if this is the same for you. They all have different personalities. They all have different needs. They all have different wants. Can't see, don't know if anyone's typing.
Okay, I'll go ahead and read some of the comments. So earlier when we were talking about judgment, Jamie said, yes, blood relatives mostly. So they should just do what their parents taught. Don't have something nice to say, don't say anything. Kiana said, yes, figuring out the balance. And Jamie said, yes, they are also different. So I don't have multiple children, but I have 3 nieces and they are like completely night and day from each other. They all have 3 different personalities, even the newborn. So definitely. Josia says, my mom will always say that, and she's a mother of 4.
Yeah, definitely. And my 4 children, they each like different things. So what I do, and I encourage you guys who have young children, play with your child, right? And what I mean by play, make that play intentional. Have that child lead the play, because our children are always, we're always telling them what to do. So I work with children that have behavioral issues, and I say to the parents, if you want these behaviors to decrease within the next 3 months, play with your child, even if it's just 10 minutes a day. And from research, it has proved that if you allow a child to lead play, and by play, I mean, I can't see myself on camera, but I have 2 pencils here. If you have 2 pencils and you give the child 1 pencil and the child says, this is a lion, it's a lion. Then what I usually do is, what would you like for me to do with the lion? So you're asking that child permission, because again, all day they may be at childcare, they may be home with you, and we're telling them what to do. So that's just a little tip for anyone that has multiples or just wants an idea of how to kind of figure out their personalities, their likes, their wants, and their needs.
Thank you for that. I'm definitely guilty. When you said if the pencil is a lion, it's a lion, I started
It's a
cracking
lion.
up. My daughter
That
is
pencil
8,
is a lion.
but she's good for like, okay, we're gonna play. You know, she loves playing anything animal related. So the whole place will be either a jungle or a pet store or veterinarian, like everything's gonna be an animal. And she's like, this is the so you're gonna be the so-and-so. And I'm like, no, but that's a lion. That's not a, she's like, Mom, you're gonna be, and I'm like, you do know this is a lion though, right? Like I'm constantly trying to correct her. So I know that this message was exactly for me.
Okay,
My
CJ,
daughter
take it.
seeping in, telling you to tell me that I need to sit down and be quiet and just be the animal she told me to be.
It is. And this leads to connections. So when we feel disconnected from our family or our children, we use these teachable moments or these opportunities to reconnect. And this is all with mom guilt as well, right? So when we do come home or when we are around our families, how do we connect? How do we try to figure out where the disconnect is with either our children's or our spouse, our other family members, and so forth? So thank you for sharing, Jamie. With the feeling of mom guilt, try journaling. Journaling has helped me in the past. Whatever is your primary emotion, consider what your primary emotion is. Is it fear? Right? Sometimes my primary emotion of guilt is fear. I fear that my children aren't going to know why I work so hard. Like they don't understand why. Mommy has her door closed, or mommy, say for instance, I work with children a lot. So I have a lot of play therapeutic toys. I buy 2 of them because whenever my children see the toys, especially when they were younger, they're like, well, why can't we play with these? And I just said, you know what? I'm buying 2 of everything. These are for clients and these are for you. Because again, kids see toys and they're like, but what do you mean I can't touch it? So that was one way that I kind of got around that situation. Connect with others like we're doing now within this network. Seek professional help if needed. All right, so our last one, set in reminders. With my phone, if someone says, would you like to? I say, hold on, let me check my calendar. 10 years ago, I would say, sure, yeah, I'm open. 20 years ago, I'd be like, yeah, what are we doing, right? So the more responsibilities that I have, the more goes into my phone. I used to walk around with a little planner, and that for me just stopped working, because as a Virgo, I'm like, I have to use a certain color pen. I want to have these colors. And after a while, I got overwhelmed, and I'm like, you know what? Whatever. So getting organized to reduce whatever cognitive load is going on. Set the reminders on your phone. I just mentioned using a planner, and making a habit of either checking it the night before or the morning of. So I have multiple responsibilities. I check whatever I have to do the night before, because once I wake up at 5:30, it's go, 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 go. Create to-do lists. Break down projects into manageable tasks. Create those blocks of time for just family only. And by family only, no tablets, no phones. If it's something where you guys are like watching a show together, you could do something like that. But definitely create those little blocks of time for your family when everyone is able to participate, or even one family member at a time, because connections are definitely important. And last but not least, self-care. And I thank you, ladies. I will try to see if I can see everyone now. Any questions, any comments?
My only comment was that this was powerful, and I wish I caught the first half of this, but I want to say this was definitely timely and relevant. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming.
All right, I am so thankful to you, Sherida, for coming on and blessing us with this session. We definitely want to get your information here. You guys take down that information so that we can follow it. And just as an FYI, if you missed this session or any of the sessions, there will be replays in the Conquer Network. If you go to the topic session, there is a topic called Catch the Replay. So you'll be able to see all of them from beginning to end. And you can still comment on them and tag Sherida, because she's in the network already, so she can answer any questions that you have. Since you're here today and you are a mompreneur, I want to let you know that we're having another session with a mom in the community, and her name is Vivian Oladen. She is actually the founder of $2 million businesses, and she's going to be helping us to know, one, that you can do this. She's going to be sharing some insider information about what it's like for her to be a mom of two, under two. So that might be for you, Kiana. Like, what is it like when you add a child to the mix? And for any of you here who have multiple children. And she's going to be talking about branding and marketing without burnout. We all need some help with our branding and marketing. And she is the founder of $1 million branding and marketing company, as well as her own individual company aside from that company. So you might want to go right now and RSVP to that, so we know that you're going to be there. And I think this was a great introduction into that, because once we start talking about how we manage our mommy guilt, then it's like, okay, how do I get this business going? How do I get the visibility that I need without burning out? Kiana said 202. What date is that one? That one is October 22nd. So you can see all the events if you go into the network. I don't know what it looks like on your cell phone, but if you go into the network, you can definitely see all the dates and the times, and you can RSVP for them. And that way you can have the reminders that will come up. All right, so I definitely appreciate you all. And before we go, invite someone to the network, invite your business friends. This is a free supportive community for entrepreneurs in service-based businesses. And as you see, it's so helpful for us to be able to talk to each other, not just about business, but about life and business, the things that affect us as business owners. So definitely invite your business friends. And before we go ahead, Sherida, and let them know how they can follow you and contact you.
All right, ladies. So you can follow me on IG. The first one is behaviors_and_lives. And the second is IG with empowerment_CAPS for caps. Okay.
Awesome. And that will be in the presentation as well.
It will be in the presentation.
So
Yes.
talking about mom guilt, while you were talking, my daughter was texting me like, tennis lesson is over. Are you coming for me? And you know, what I do for that is I explain things to her. I told her I was going to be doing a webinar, so she understood. And part of that balance is now I have to give her my time, you know, the exchange of time. So she was like, well, after this, can we do, you know, whatever? And it's like, yes, you'll have my undivided time. So that's how we manage that. All right. It was so good to see you all. I hope you all have a really great Saturday and weekend, and see you at the next open house. Definitely RSVP for that, because we have some great speakers coming up and I can't wait to hear them.
Thank you, ladies. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.